RotoGrinders, Dean here. Dean 7904 if you want to get all technical. The start of 2+ hours nonstop Mlb Dfs conversation, taking y'all straight up to lock tonight. This is part 2. The sequel, generally not as good as the original, but the original, the first slate, the one that I'm not sweating right now because if I was playing low ball, I'd be smashing it. My wallet's not doing well today. I don't know about yourself, Tim, but man, it's not a good day for your boy. But that's the thing, man. It just starts all over again. Did you take off the nonsense slate for the afternoon, or did you dabble in those streets like I did?
I dabble in the streets, Dean, and I can tell you it's not going well. So
yeah, these things are going to happen, I suppose. But by the way, yeah. So we were talking about before the show that J-Ram stolen base. That was pretty spectacular. That was awesome. You know what's like more exciting than the cycle? Stealing home. How about that? Like actual oh my god, a single. Like that's exciting. I know I'm not sure if you're on Team Cycle. I feel like randomly taking shots. Big Cycle out there is promoting how spectacular the cycle is. You don't like fun things? Cycle's not fun. That's one I'll agree with you.
What? A cycle is not fun?
No, a single's exciting.
Yeah, I mean a single is not exciting, Dean, but that is not what a cycle is. A cycle is not a single.
Sometimes it is. In the ninth inning, you have a double, a triple, a homer, and now you need a single just to complete the cycle.
No, that's a horrible take, Dean. A cycle is amazing, and they're very rare. Hey, let me ask you this:
you like nothing, but you like the cycle.
I mean, is a perfect game exciting? It's just 27 out. It's just 27 outs. It's just 27 outs, Dean.
It's okay.
It's fine. Is a perfect game fun? I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of boring. It gets interesting in the ninth inning, but like the first 7 or 8 innings, it's kind of boring. Oh, another pop up. Oh, that guy grounded out. Congratulations. If it's like somebody throwing gas and throwing 20 strikeouts, I guess that's kind of interesting. The cumulative effect. Individually, though, the plays individually are all boring. Like individually, like a pop up, a ground out.
So you're saying, oh, okay. Let's go back to your. Yeah, all right. No, I can't.
I'm with Morgan and Chad. Dean, you got to find a better shtick, man. You've been beating this horse till it was in the ground.
I've never heard him on this rant before. This is new to me that he doesn't like cycle. You don't like cycles, Dean?
Thanks for supporting the show. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you watching. Well, I mean,
every time I tune in, Dean, you're talking about season long and dynasty.
You don't want to know my season long team?
Pick it up on your fab auctions or whatever that is. I can't remember what they're called from 15 years ago. I swear the last time I tuned in, that's what you've been talking about. You've been talking about your season long team.
Small sample size. That's producer Devin, by the way. Producer Devin working today. Devin, at all points, feel free to chime in. We have plenty of time, an hour and 10 minutes until crunch time comes in. You got Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Precipitation is all good, far as I can tell. Things may change. Weather is fluid, but there is some heat and some wind that we will discuss. STL cards, Justin Van Zuiden, as well as TJ Zwarych, the greatest DFS player in all of Saskatchewan, Canada. This is his last day in his 20s. Have you heard this, Tim? He turns 30 tomorrow. That's how I was doing the math in my head. Yeah, 30 is next.
I didn't have him that old in my head. I thought
he was a little younger too.
Yeah. I had the under on that.
Yeah, I was gonna bring an adult beverage in the show because they were talking about that in the pre-show. And I just forgot. But
hey,
we're sticking with water.
Speaking of that, I never sent your Moxie.
Yeah, what was that? You told me. I think you asked for my address. You're gonna send me a whole package. You're gonna give me the main special.
I'm gonna do that now. That reminds me, we have to do that now.
I don't know. Moxie is an amazing word. Devin was making fun of me earlier today for just using a throwback word, and Moxie is another one of those words you heard in the 30s. My understanding, I wasn't there, but I can imagine a lot of people threw Moxie around in the 1930s.
Right around there with Donnybrook, I think.
Moxie's one of those things like that you really can't describe. You know it when you see it, right? That guy's got a lot of Moxie. Why do he gives up that aura?
How do you describe Moxie? You'll know this. Why they call it Moxie when you drink it. It's got Moxie.
It's an acquired taste and it's not good?
That's absolutely correct.
All right. Can people in the chat confirm?
It will
this
be.
is a Northeastern
I would bet a lot of American dollars that it would be the worst soda you have ever drank in your entire life.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm trying to think what the worst tasting soda is.
I'm glad I remembered this. I'm glad I remembered this.
It's probably one of those bootleg, like Walmart knockoffs, so like Mountain Lightning or Dr. Thunder. It's
a real thing. It's a real thing.
Is it like Mountain Dew? I feel like it's like Mountain Dew, but not Mountain Dew.
No.
It's its own tier.
Oh, yeah. There's no comparison to how awful this is going to taste.
You use Moxie when you like the cut of someone's jib. That's a great call. Yeah, those two are definitely. It's like Muck and Meyer. You don't say Meyer without Muck. There you go. Those two definitely go together. Mr. Richard says he hates Moxie, but it's his dad's drink of choice. He was drinking it as a child. There you go.
That makes sense. Yep.
What's up, chat? Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. Do all those things. We much appreciate it. TJ will be coming on, so I imagine Spider-Man will be lurking. So you want to get those likes up. So when TJ's here, he can just fire away his Spidey bombs. See Kirkwood hanging out in chat. We talked about the old reach around stack yesterday. That almost got me there, man. It almost got me there, Tim, with Cleveland. We're life is about expectations, and there was a point in the slate yesterday. I'm like, oh man, this could be a really, really fun slate. And I had Sears and not Herman, and it was a profitable slate, but was not as fun as it could have been. But hey, it's a brand new one. You were saying you absolutely hated this slate from a pitching perspective. You were besmirching all the pitchers, and I was like saying, hey, at least we got Max Scherzer. It's not the same Max Scherzer of the last 10 years, but still pretty good. And by comparison, he's like the clear best obvious pitcher. The Dodgers, by comparison, are the clear best obvious stack. They're in cores once again. Wash, rinse, repeat. It's a small slate. Pretty straightforward, right, Tim? What are we running out today? We doing the 3-entry, single entry? You doing cash? You look dabble those cash streets?
So let me just be transparent with everybody. I'm not playing cash games today just because.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Normally I play cash on DraftKings every single slate. This is not going to be one of them. I'm happy to answer any questions that people have. I mean, I'm looking at optimals. I'm looking at projections. I can answer questions, but I'm not playing cash today because I can't stand SB2. Like, I don't know what to. I mean, I really don't know what to do at SB2. It's absolutely disgusting. Like this. Like, yeah, we have Max Scherzer, but after that, I'm really like. I tagged Keaton Wynn on lineup HQ. Yeah, because that's who I'm currently rostering in my single entry team. I'm not going to play.
You tagged him as a salary saver, right? Yeah. He's the starter for the Giants who's going to throw maybe 50 pitches or so. But he's cheap.
We have him at 60. The bat has him for 52. So let's split the difference and say 56.
Yeah.
But he's 4K. But that's who I'm currently rostering in my single entry team on DraftKings. Now completely out of the picture on FanDuel, obviously. But on DraftKings, that's who I'm currently rostering. In cash games, I can't endorse that, but I really can't endorse anybody. So it's tough because I don't know what people are going to do with Taijuan Walker today. And that's kind of like what's confusing me. He's a decent enough pitcher in a decent enough matchup, but look at that Wrigley wind in Weather Edge. That's a massive sample in the most wind-sensitive park in all of baseball. Going up against, I mean, I know that the Cubs aren't great, but they're not like the worst team in baseball. Like, I'm not really about Walker today. I really have no interest in either of the Coors guys. Can I really say we should pitch Adam Wainwright against the Astros?
What year is it?
Right. So to me, this leaves Chris Bassett and JP France as my options if I'm looking for maybe some kind of safety, stability for cash games. But even then, I mean, it's really gross.
And the other part of that argument is like you're probably overpaying for Taijuan Walker. Like if he was on yesterday's slate or the slate before, there's no chance you're paying even looking his way at 8.8K. Bassett, I think the same deal. Most likely, you're not going to consider playing him at 9.6K. And the thought process is it's like just get in and out as quick and painless and cheap as possible with Wynn. We have a current projection of 8 fantasy points for him. If you told me I'm getting no more, no less for 4K, 8 points, I think I take that on this slate. I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Would you take 8 points?
Yeah, I would. And I would be and if he happens to get like 3 strikeouts and he gets you like double digits, I mean, I'd be thrilled. I'd be thrilled with like 11 or 12. But I don't see that as like a viable strategy in cash games to trot somebody out there that's going to throw 52 pitches or whatever. So, and then we didn't even mention like Kyle Hendricks going up against the Phillies. Like I can't see a reason. I mean, the way that people construct their GPP portfolios in terms of pitching today, it's going to be pretty. I think it's going to be pretty weird. You know, like I think you're going to see some pretty spread out ownership of people taking shots on a lot of these different guys because I don't think there's a real decisive edge or decisive, you know, somebody who's going to go under owned or over owned. I think you're going to see a lot of spread out ownership of pitching.
Maybe producer Devin can show off the Weather Edge tool. I'm looking at it right now, kind of referencing. You mentioned Hendricks against Philadelphia, really big sample as well. 144 games in 144 games of similar weather in Wrigley. We're talking about a bump in home runs at over 30%, a bump in runs at 17%. Wind is blowing out at 5 miles per hour, which doesn't seem like a lot, and it's a little bit hotter than it has been. I guess 78 degrees, and you know that's
a massive dew point. You know, hashtag Kirkwood. Okay,
is that what's going on there? Yeah,
that's a big dew point.
Is that like Moxie? You know, what is a high dew point? You just know it when you see it. You know, 71 is a high dew point.
You know it. You know it when you see it. You read the Kirkwood Almanac. You know, I've been reading that for several years. I got a pre-market, downloadable look at the bottle, and that's a big dew point.
Kirkwood in chat, like Kirkwood is on. He's on one right now. I don't know what he's talking about with mashed potatoes and mushrooms, and I think he's playing a video poker machine right now. He says, "I can't let it win." Like the thing is programmed to literally beat you. Like that's how that works. It's fun, I suppose, in small doses, but eventually it's going to bite you. But he says he's talking about that dew point. You know, Kirkwood has got his dew point model. I think it's still in beta. It's like in year 17 or so. A lot of steps, a lot of red tape. The model, he calls that a Baja Blast, which circles back to the soda conversation. Not a big soda drinker, but if I was, I think Baja Blast might be number one in the power rankings. And for some reason, that's a Taco Bell exclusive to my knowledge. I think they sell that in the stores sometimes. You aware of the Baja Blast?
I've never heard of a Baja Blast. I've never heard of such a thing.
It's a spectacular. If you're gonna have soda, whatever. It's a in the soda streets in the power rankings. Devin, are you aware of the Baja Blast? It seemed like you were jumping on there for a second.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I used to have Taco Bell back in my day. I know.
How about the Baja Blast? Freeze? Remember the Baja Freeze?
I don't think I ever had the Baja Freeze. No.
Oh my god. Yeah. Kirkwood's asking about Jolt Cola. Jolt Cola's got to still be in existence, right? I assume that's somewhere available.
It sounds like we're getting onto like Surge territory here. Jolt Cola.
I think, well, Jolt, I believe, like true to its name, I think it had like extra sugar in it, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like that's like their gimmick.
Story checks out.
Yeah, it reminds me of when I went to, what was that? They had one in Vegas and they had one in Phoenix where Heart Attack Grill. You aware of their gimmick, Heart Attack Grill? Like they try to be as intentionally unhealthy as possible, and they have it's a Mexican Coke, which has additional sugar in it, a certain percentage more. If you really want to fire up those arteries, don't Google what the owner died of. I'll give you one guess.
Old age.
No, he lived a long, happy life. Yes. All right. Sidetracking the show is that this is what's going to happen. These are the things that go down on a 5-game slate. We still have an hour to go. Moxie was a power soda. What does that mean, Paul? What's a power soda? Do you know what that means? I'm not aware of Moxie outside of what you told me.
I don't know. I don't know what he means by that.
I'm not sure either. But I don't. Yeah, I wanted to go in cold on Moxie, but you already prepped me like not to like it. But we'll give it a shot. We'll report back. Maybe we'll do it live on the show. Maybe we'll do that.
We need to do it on air. I mean, just be prepared to log off for a while afterwards.
This is happening.
Is it like red? During the crossover. What color is Moxie?
It's just it looks like a regular soda. It looks like Coke. It's just just regular soda. If you want to go really main, Dean, I can send you some Allen's Coffee Brandy, and you can mix it in there. That's called a burnt trailer. Is the name of the drink?
A burnt trailer.
Yep.
I walk up to a bar in Maine and I say, "Let me get a burnt trailer," and they know exactly what I want. You'd
have to go in rural Maine. Don't go into any kind of go to rural Maine and go to down east Maine, and they'll know. They'll know.
All right. Shout out to Squirt Soda. We're naming all the random the contrarian GPP sodas. Squirt, I believe, is like a grapefruit flavor, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's their angle. Shout out to them. All right. All right. We talked about Max Scherzer. Are we just hitting the lock button and that's that? Like, we're gonna have a conversation about it. There's a leverage opportunity if you want it from Milwaukee. If you want it, go by all means, go for it. Scherzer this year, his K rate 26.2%. It's down, but it's still the best on the slate. I'm not counting. Oh yeah, he's at the lowest SIERA as well. I'm not going to count your boy Keaton Wynn. He's got a lower SIERA, but he's pitched 12 innings and small sample stuff. So like the biggest K rate, the lowest SIERA, good ballpark. Although that ballpark actually is pretty good for hitting today, at least as that ballpark goes in New York. 142 games, a bump in homers at 16.7%, winds blowing out the dead center at 6 miles per hour, 82 degrees. And the dew point is 62. I don't know if that means the U or Kirkwood, but the dew point 62. We see an increase in runs at 9.4%, but you're not running out a bunch of lineups. I guess we can say what you're doing, and then the hypothetical. If you're running 150, just saying, screw it, give me Max Scherzer, come and get me.
I think so. I mean, like, if I don't know, like, I wouldn't know what other pairing to make. I wouldn't know who like my other SP1 would be. If I'm making 150, like maybe I make like go 95% or 90% Scherzer and go like Bassett and some other combination of some of these other scrubs just in case Scherzer, gets injured or gets lit up. But I mean, honestly, I think I'd go all in. Like I say just lock button him. I don't see any reason to fade him other than just, weird things can happen in baseball sometimes.
If you didn't have him, would you automatically stack Milwaukee against them? Or is it kind of a situation where maybe, both things happen where Max doesn't get there and the Brewers don't get there? Or would you like at least force at least one or two Brewers against them?
So let's say, I'm making 150. I take 15 teams and say I'm not pitching Max. Yeah. Maybe like 30% of those non-Max teams. Maybe I make a Milwaukee stack. Like maybe a fraction of those non-Max teams. I could do that. I don't want to go too crazy with that idea though. Even on my non-Max teams.
They called up Bryce Terang, prospect earlier in the year. He kind of flopped out from the start. A lot of speed, not much else. Not sure who they sent down or if somebody got hurt, but Terang is in the lineup today for Milwaukee. Yelich leading off. That's Yelich, Winker, Adames, Tellez, Anderson, Caratini. So no Contreras at catcher. Terang, Perkins, and Weimer. We got the Cubs lineup just dropped a few minutes ago. It's Tauchman leading off with Horner, Christopher Morel in the 3-hole. Oh, I like that. I like Morel in the 3-hole. Happ, Swanson, Bellinger, Amaya, Jared Young, and Madrigal. Young, by the way, not that young. He's 27. So I thought he was younger. I don't guess he's not a prospect. At 27, you're not a prospect, right? What do we say you're no longer a prospect?
I'd say he's past the cutoff. Right. I'd say like 25, 24.
He did homer yesterday, and I think that was his first MLB homer of all time. He did get the old cup of coffee last season, 22 at-bats. First game of the season. Only 2 at-bats was he pinch hit for? he's a lefty. He probably was. I didn't catch that, but that's interesting. Also buried in the 8-hole. Waiting for St. Louis. Maybe that's because of Arenado. Arenado left yesterday's game with, I think it was a leg. I think that was his body part, if I'm not mistaken. But maybe they're trying to figure out if he's going to be playing today or not. I'm going to guess no. We do have the Dodgers. That's Betts, Freeman, Muncy, JD Martinez. Muncy back in there after a day off yesterday. Peralta, Hayward, Vargas, Outman, and Barnes. So no Will Smith for the Dodgers. That's a kind of a big one. And then Colorado is Profar, Tovar, McMahon, Diaz, Crone, Jones, Grichuk, Montero, and Castro. So we have every lineup except for St. Louis. Do you have a read as far as Arenado? Do we think he's going to play? It looks like we're projecting him not to play for what it's worth. No, we're projecting him in.
No, we have it projected in. I don't really have a feel in the situation. I didn't actually see the injury, so I didn't really like see him leave the game, so I don't have any feel on that. I think France is a little bit of a reverse splits pitcher too, so that might make a bit of a difference.
Yes. According to the bat, I believe, he's listed as a reverse splits pitcher, as is Keaton Wynn, which I don't know much about, but he's got him as a reverse pitcher as well. Chase Anderson, historically reverse splitsy, and Taiwan Walker, also another reverse splits pitcher.
Listen,
I
don't know anything about Keaton Wynn either, but I'm gonna risk American dollars on him. I can tell you that much.
If I had like him and like seven other dudes, can you pick him out of a lineup? Keaton Wynn.
I really can't. I'm kind of embarrassed. I'm kind of embarrassed how little I know about this guy and how much money I'm going to waste playing him. I'm a little bit ashamed of myself. But I don't know what else to do, so I'm just going to do that.
Arenado is dealing with a back. Thank you, Derek. And Luis Urias, that's who was sent down for Milwaukee. Kirkwood's deeming the Orioles as gutless. That's a bold proclamation. I don't know how a team is gutless or not gutless, but there's like he's got a gutless model, I believe. Every
time I hear Kirkwood on a show this year, I always hear him say, "Baltimore, man, they think they're so good. They think
he hates
so
Baltimore.
Good. He hates. I don't know what happened to Kirkwood in Baltimore. Something horrible must have happened to him at Camden Yards at a game sometime or something, because he really does hate Baltimore.
It's a beautiful ballpark. I'm not sure if you've ever been, but it's spectacular. And it's been around now for 30, 35 years probably.
I've been to every kind of like ballpark, probably like in the, mid-Atlantic, Northeast, corridor, except for that one. Kind of bummed. I love, I've heard you talk about it too. I think it's PNC where the Pirates
Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
That's such a nice ballpark. I love that ballpark.
Yeah, I would say it's the most underrated, but like anybody that's been there is like ranks it pretty high, but it's sort of sneaky. Like I didn't know going in, like, oh, Pittsburgh's going to be great, and you show up and it's like, oh man, this is amazing.
Actually, I haven't been to Citi Field. I've only been to the old Shea.
I have. It's fine. It's nice. Yeah, it's good. It's good ballpark. The Boston. Are you a Boston guy? As far as the ballpark, I assume that's your home. You don't really have a team, do you?
I don't. I mean, I went to Fenway a ton when I was a kid. They're definitely, I've been there, a few dozen times in my life. But, I'd rather watch a game at PNC.
Yeah. There's no obstructed view seats in PNC.
I don't think so.
Well, in Fenway, there was like those giant pillars you could sit behind. Like that's not where I sat, but like it seems like, the chat wants to know, when you went to the ballpark in Fenway, you have fond memories. Was it fun? Was PNC fun? Was Fenway fun?
PNC was fun. I had several Yinglings, great beer if you've never had it.
Like the
PNC
black and tan
awesome.
Yingling.
Yeah, that's good too.
Yeah.
But yeah, PNC was awesome. I went to PNC when they made it to that wild card game against the Giants years ago.
Was that when Cueto was in the mound and he kept dropping the ball? Like they were yelling at him? Or am I thinking it was a Cueto or some pitcher where the Pirates, the crowd was so loud, he couldn't, like, he dropped the ball a couple times because the crowd kept, like, just they were so just excited.
I think they lost. I think the Pirates lost 5-0, and I know Brandon Crawford hit like a 3-run homer.
Oh,
other than that, it's the rest of the trip's kind of fuzzy, Dean. That's
Yinglings will do that to you, I suppose.
Right.
Okay, so as far as ownership, let's just kind of run through this. We were talking about FanDuel as well. Like I'm running a couple of lineups on FanDuel. I'm almost definitely going to be playing Scherzer, and that's that. I'll figure out a way to be different elsewhere. If it wasn't Scherzer, by the way, Scherzer getting over 41% ownership. I feel like it might be higher than that. Like I don't think it's going to be lower than 41%. But yeah, we got 40. Actually, I just hit the refresh button, and now it's 45 on FanDuel. So we've got a new batch of ownership as of 10 minutes ago. 22% for Bassett, 6% for Hendricks. Then everybody else is like not going to get owned. I'm attacking Hendricks. We'll talk about that in a second. That's one of my favorite places to attack. I think he's getting the old regression monster visit today. I think it's going to go really, really poorly for him. He's been insanely lucky. We'll dive into those numbers in a second. But if you were playing on FanDuel, how many lineups would you have to make to not play Scherzer? It's Scherzer and that's that.
I think I kind of already said like maybe you make like 10 without him or 5 if you really want to. I think personally, I know it's easy for me to say this since I'm not actually making 150 teams, but I think really if I was, I would just play all max. Just that's it. I wouldn't get fancy with anybody else.
On DK, I think we got a new batch as well, right? Yes. So 56% for Scherzer on DK. I'll be over that. You're going to be over that. Bassett at 29%. I don't really it's fine. I'm not here to talk you out of it, but I think I'd just rather spend the money on bats more so. And we've seen Bassett several times. Just he's not great. He's not dominant. He's been pulled early several times, a lot of times because he's been terrible. Some BABIP getting him the wrong ways. Sheehan, the pitcher for the Dodgers in Coors, is getting up 21%. I thought he'd be a little bit cheaper. He's 7.4. It's not much of a discount. He was good in the minors, at least some good Ks there in the minors. So he's sort of in play for me. France is 8K at St. Louis, and I don't think I've been saying this one for a while. I'm not a France guy. That St. Louis offense is pretty good. If Arnaud isn't there, especially, we'll see how that goes down. But I think France is like borderline major league pitcher, if that. You touched on Walker. He needs BABIP to go in his favor. He's not a big K guy. Theoretically, he could go like 7+ innings or so. And just let's touch on Hendricks, I suppose. And, looking at ERA versus Sierra, like the most basic of stuff, right? Hendricks this year has a 2.6 ERA, and good for him. But he's got a 2.20 BABIP. That's super lucky. A left on base at less than 61%. A home on the fly ball at 2.1%. Come on, man. 2.1%. I think he's getting up 1 homer in 34 innings. That seems crazy lucky. And you add it up, it's a 5.34 Sierra. He's got, 12% Ks this year versus lefties. The wind is blowing out. He's facing 2 huge boppers and Harper and Schwarber. I'm very much more on the Philadelphia side than I am on the Hendricks side. His fly ball rate is as high as it's ever been this season at 43.1%. I think Dave called him basically like a 33-year-old Adam Wainwright at this point. It's the wheels are falling off for Kyle Hendricks.
That's weird that you say that because my very next question I was going to ask you and was where do you rank Houston when compared to Philly? Because I think that's an important question. I can't decide between the two. Everybody knows who the clear, one stack is today.
Of course.
But I mean, now the bigger, more important questions for large field players is how do you rank Houston versus Philly? That to me is like, a very, very important talking point.
I think it's actually tight. Like 2 through 4 is pretty tight, and I had a hard time ranking my stacks today. Myself, Keith, Squirrel Patrol, the Luch, Napster Man. In consensus value rankings, we all have different combinations of those teams. I'm the only one that left Colorado out, which, I think they would be 6 for me, just mostly because they stink, right? Like, I understand they're in cores, but I don't look at the names, like how many of these guys do I actually want to click on. Obviously, it's cores and things can come together and BABIP and all that. But I have Philly 2, to answer your question. I have LA 1. I got Philly 2. I actually have the Mets 3, but again, it's super, super close. I got the Mets 3, Houston 4, and the Cardinals 5. But 2 through 5, I'm not going to argue with you. If you think differently, as far as Philly, the Mets, Houston, and St. Louis, for me, that's some combination, those 4 teams, 2 through 5. And again, I guess I'm on a bit of an island saying Colorado's not one of the top 5 teams. They're 6. We only rank 5. That's how that goes. But have you figured it out? Have you decided?
Well, I see, but personally, I have it. Dodgers, obviously, then Houston, then Philly, then I'd go Colorado, and then I'd go St. Louis. That's probably what my top 5 would be.
Well, I have Philadelphia higher for a couple of reasons. And Hendricks and Wainwright are kind of the same pitcher. Like it's a fair. Basically, we could say they're the same, essentially, right? More or less.
Mm-hmm.
I think the ballpark's better today. The hitting environment's better in Chicago for Philadelphia than it is for Houston and St. Louis, although it's good in St. Louis too. And I just think that Philadelphia lineup is deeper and a little bit cheaper. Something like Cody Clemens at 2.1K, I think is really useful if you need a flat out punt. My favorite hitter on the slate, one of my favorite hitters on the slate is Schwarber. It's not Schwarber, it's Harper. I love Tucker. I think Tucker's great. I think Altuve is spectacular. Bregman's good too, but then it just kind of falls off a little bit. Madras, my Pena's buried in the 8 spot. It's been a rough year for him.
What's up with that, Dean? Why is he buried in the 8 spot? He's been hurt a lot though. Hasn't he?
Yeah, and it looks like it's a left. Dusty likes to do his left stuff, whatever. There's not a lot of lefties in that lineup, so I guess he wanted to move Madras up to chop up some of the righties because 4 through 9 is all righties, with the exception of Madras, so he's got in the 7 spot. So I assume that's the reason why. I don't think he thinks Madras is a better hitter than Pena, but I don't think it's as deep. Jolks has some speed and has some pop, but I just feel better about the top, the best hitters, Schwarber, Harper, and Turner's fantastic. That's sort of where I'm at. But I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to say it's clearly obvious that Philadelphia is better than Houston. Team totals 5.13 for Philadelphia, 5.2 for Houston. So the same. I guess we can talk about ownership. Is there anything distinctly different ownership for Houston and Philly? It's a short slate. It's hard to hide. Dodgers come first, but who's the next most popular team behind Philadelphia, behind the Dodgers? Is it Philly? Is that where it's going to go?
I'm updating I'm refreshing our top stacks and stack values page right now. It was Houston.
Yeah, I'm seeing Houston in the 5-6 players in the top, highest projected ownership.
And Devin, what's your leans tonight? Feel free to chime in. Devin's in those streets.
I don't have any leans yet, but I'll try and formulate some ideas. I've just been kind of listening to you guys because I've been busy today. Steve was out today, so I'm covering, so I haven't had a chance to look at the slate. But yeah, I'll see if I can have some thoughts, throw them in. I saw Flores Mark in chat was saying that Colorado bats are looking sneaky, and I pulled up Slate IQ, and they are second on the percentage of winning if you sort it. So pretty high leverage percent.
Do you have an official Colorado take, Tim?
Yeah, definitely great if they're going to come in low owns. So I'm looking at the bat stat projections right now, and they have Philly number 2, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be coming in that highly owned. So if that's the case, I'm gonna reverse course and agree with you, Dean. If that's really going to be the case, if Philly's really going to be that much lower owned than Houston, which I personally don't think so, because I think people are going to see this wind at Wrigley. Kyle Schwarber's really, really cheap on DK. He's under 5K. I don't think that's going to sneak up on anybody. I think that's going to be a pretty popular play. So when I look at this and I see if Philly's really going to be that much lower owned than Houston, then yeah, give me Philly all day over Houston. I thought it would be closer. I didn't realize that Houston was going to be that much more popular than Philadelphia.
Throw out your questions there in chat. Again, we're here for the next 40 minutes until we hand it off to Crunch Time. Crunch Time's going to go around the horn, give their favorite plays position by position. Roth will let you know what's going on weather-wise. Mostly I think it's going to be basically heat and wind and not so much precipitation. When you ask your question, specify. Give us like if it's on DK, if it's on FanDuel, if it's a cash game, if it's a 3-entry max, if it's a single entry contest, if it's a large field lotto deal, all that kind of stuff does help. I see some questions are popping up. King of Smack says Bassett is too cheap on FanDuel against San Fran. I mean, I think he's like appropriately priced. I don't know.
I wouldn't put him in the too cheap category. I'd say it's more of the appropriately priced.
Let's see. You're talking about a little bit of Yingling, a little bit of Rolling Rock. Did not like Rolling Rock. Doesn't do it for me. Wainwright will moxie up and be serviceable today. I like that. Nicely done, Derek. Good callback. He's got moxie for sure, right? Guile. He's got guile, as does Zach Greinke and like Johnny Cueto. You got to have some guile, you got to have everything, all the adjectives to get by when you're like 40 and throwing like 60 miles per hour these days.
Hey, if you wanna, have some moxie and trot out Wainwright today, I say go for it. I mean, really though, if I'm looking at SP2 on DraftKings today, how many guys you could tell people that they can't play?
That's a good question. How many lineups are we making?
Let's say 20. Let's say you're in a 20 max. How many of these guys are you just tossing right out? Because I don't really
Chase
know.
Anderson, 1.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe Hauser. Maybe I might kick Hauser out.
Maybe.
That might be it though. Like they don't really let him go. Depends. It's definitely Anderson. He's out. Hauser, 14% strikeouts. Like, get out of town. What are we doing here? Which, by the way, is not the worst in the slate. Kyle Hendricks at 12.9%. Which again, now I'm just not playing Hendricks. If you want to play Hendricks, have at it. The generic you, not you specifically. That's just not something I'm doing. I don't care how many lineups I'm making. I'm gonna make 10, but like only a couple main ones. I'm gonna have some fun in the like the $15 just for funsies. But yeah, Hendricks is not happening for me. But what would your answer to that be? Like, I think Sheehan's in my pool for 20 entries. I guess Wainwright is. Wainwright's in there. I'm not happy about it, but he is.
Definitely Sheehan. Definitely Wainwright. Definitely Bassett. Definitely. Yeah. I don't think I would toss out Hauser, even though I get what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with you. Mm-hmm. I would pitch France, and I would definitely pitch Wynn. So it's like Anderson gets tossed. Hendricks. I agree with you on Hendricks. I would toss him.
Yeah, but it's gross. And we're all playing with the same pool of players, and you shouldn't feel confident about it, obviously. But this is kind of where we're at. Eric wants to know, DK, 3-entry max, who makes your SP2 pool? You've kind of sort of discussed this, but maybe you're jumping in late. It's a good conversation.
We were just talking about that. So Keaton Wynn, I think, is somebody you got to take a real hard look at, as bad as that sounds. I guess Chris Bassett, if you want to go the more conservative route. And then, oh boy, I don't know, Adam Wainwright or France, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think
you get 10 points out of Wainwright, you're good, right? 10 points is fine. That's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah. So I guess in a 3 max, I'm all in on Scherzer. Maybe I do 1 Bassett and 1 Wynn, and then maybe 1 Wainwright. That might be what I would do.
We haven't talked about Toronto. I never see Toronto, right?
I don't want to talk about Toronto because I want Keaton Wynn to go through 4 innings of scoreless ball and get 3 strikeouts, and I call it good.
You know, it's not completely nuts, by the way. Like, you can play Wynn and play like 2 or 3 Blue Jays because you want to tell yourself a story. You know, Wynn is good for 3 or 4 innings, and even that's kind of a stretch. He's not great, like, for the record. He's not this great pitcher. He's okay, and he's cheap, and that might be enough. But and Toronto just like they underachieve so much. It seems.
Dean, that's a 3-game slate strategy. Nobody should be playing batters against their pitcher in a 5-game slate.
I don't think that's. This is not your ordinary pitcher. This is not a guy that's going to go out there and go 8 innings. Wynn is just going to go 3 or 4 innings. So we're going to see a big chunk of the bullpen. Is the point?
I would say though, Dean, and I'm not trying to pick on your exact wording, but I wouldn't do 3. There's no chance I'd do 3 guys.
1 or 2.
Maybe 1 or 2, but there's no chance. No
Max
chance
of 1.
I'd do 3.
Max of 1 for me.
Yeah,
I was feeling a little moxie, a little too much moxie on my part.
Yeah. Way too much. I mean, there's no way I would do 3, even with 55 pitches from Keaton Wynn. So, but yeah, I get what you're saying. A one-off.
You understand the point I'm making? I'm talking the lottery. That's for the lottery. I should have specified that.
Even in
30,000 entries.
Even in the lottery, though, there's no chance I do 3. There's no chance. Even in the lottery.
I'll say I'm going to make an amendment. I'll say 1 to 2.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll allow it.
All right. It's been approved.
Motion passes.
Toronto's fine. Obviously, I mean, a tremendously talented team. They don't seem like they're coming in with a lot of ownership at all. I think I really like the Giants for lottery.
Okay.
But the thing is, it's the pinch hit risk.
Yeah.
That's the issue. But I mean, if you want to do like a 3-man stack of like Estrada, Davis, some of these right-handed guys that we feel like aren't going to get pitch hit for, I think that's like a really good lotto play. Bassett,
who's lurking on the bench that like if a lefty comes in, they'll jump in because Austin Slater typically does not
Slater.
start.
That's right, Slater starting
against a righty.
Yep.
So that's one guy that would come in and pinch it. I'm not saying now you're clean. I'm just making the point that incrementally it's a little less risky, I suppose. There's still I'm sure somebody I'm missing.
I like them even more now then. I forgot. I didn't even realize Slater was starting. So yeah, I really like them for lotto purposes. They're coming in very, very low owned.
Conforto not starting for some reason. Is he dinged? Is he hurt?
Yeah,
I see him. He left the game yesterday, right?
Yeah, he left the game yesterday.
Wilmer Flores is a guy that can jump in there if a lefty comes up. Like David VR, but it's not Schmidt. But like it's Wade's a pretty strong play. He should get 3 at bats versus Bassett. Peterson, I saw somebody say before. I know you're a big fan of this. The old BBP for Jock Peterson. He's got 6 whole at bats against Chris Bassett, and 4 of those at bats he got a base knock. 1 was a double. 2 were home runs. How excited are you?
Would that be considered a GGG play, or is that a? I can't keep track of all. I can't keep track of all the things that happen at RG. I need somebody to send me a memo.
We need a glossary.
The things that are going on.
First memo is it's triple G. It's not G.
What's the difference?
One of them makes you look cool.
Which one? Which one?
Triple G is the cool way to say it.
All right.
And if you really want to get edgy, trip G's.
How do you know this welcome. Reference? Tim, help me explain. How do you know this reference that Chop will come on and give us triple G play, but you're not aware of me hating on cycles? Like, well, do you mute whenever I'm talking and then unmute whenever my.
Well, it's funny that you say that. It's funny that you say that because I tuned into a show and Stevie was talking about how he can mute you.
Yes.
During a show.
Outrageous.
And it was while you were talking about season long, and I was thinking that's genius by Stevie to just mute Dean anytime he starts talking about season long fantasy.
We have a lot of viewers that out there that want to know how my season long team is going, and they want to know about the fab. It's very important. Lots of questions loading up in chat asking about my team for sure. Martin's got a question. I'm not sure how to read. I'm just going to go ahead and read this and you decipher, okay? Vargas with either Turner or Bichette. Okay, Vargas with Turner or Bichette, or Gorman with Pena Swanson. Why isn't that just like Vargas? A 3v3 then? Well, no, I see. Okay, wait. Oh, you know what? I'm leaving that one to you. It's on the screen if you can figure it out.
Well, I kind of like the first one.
Okay,
Vargas,
you understand the
Turner,
question.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I like the Vargas Turner Bichette one.
Okay, now I see. But yeah, why not just ask like a 3v3? Or am I missing something? It could have just been a 3v3, right? It was just phrased differently. Never mind.
Leave it to Dean to get technical.
Devin, do you see what I'm asking? Why not say Vargas?
I see 3 names, and then I see 3 names and a bunch of punctuation and letters between them.
I'm trying to figure, like, you add or subtract or divide or multiply. What's the appropriate order of
Sorry, Dean,
things
you
first?
can put the calculator away. We don't need it for this one.
I mean, I went to UCF. I can only handle so much when it comes to these things. So Brandon wants to know. This is simple. Like, keep it simple, stupid. The old KISS method. Outman or Hayward for FanDuel cash? Which lefty do you prefer for the Dodgers today for cash, FanDuel?
All right, let me just check pinch hit risk real quick before I will look that up really quick, because that, to me, that makes a big difference in cash, especially.
I feel like Outman's got a better chance sticking around amongst those two, but it might also possibly be just depends on when the lefty comes in. And there's only one lefty for Colorado, just for the record.
Yeah, Outman or Hayward. The other thing is, man, they've really buried Outman, haven't they?
A little bit.
Yeah. See, like Outman's got a 7% and Hayward's got a 30% according to the bat. So that's what kind of sketches me out. Makes me feel like they would pull Hayward, but he's also got a way better lineup position.
Outman playing center field, Hayward playing right field. Not to cut you off, but I'm just thinking, I feel like Outman's probably a better defender, and of all ballparks to like swap in outfielders, this is the one where you really want to make sure you got guys that can move. And right. Outman's got young legs, and Hayward not so much.
Yeah, that's a really good. This is a really good question. That's a tough call for cash games. I guess Outman. I guess I'm going to say Outman.
Brian wants to know Scherzer or Walker for GPPs on FanDuel. I think we're just hitting the lock button on Scherzer.
It's Scherzer. I know that there's always variance in baseball. There's always this urge to be different. I know I'm the hater of fun. I get it, but I really think you should just play Scherzer.
I thought we were going to possibly struggle on this show. Like, we're going to run out of things to talk about. We'll have 20 minutes to stare at each other. So how are we going to figure that out? So part of my pre-show research is I Googled fun things to do in the summer, Tim. You know it's almost summertime. Are you aware of this or no? And I got a list.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
I got bucketlistjourney.net, that's basically my homepage. They have a list.
I'm gonna say no to so many of these. It's going to shock the world.
So it's a list of 80. I don't want to run out the whole list, but just stop me when you're like, you know what, that's fun. I would do that. And I'm starting from the top.
Right.
And maybe I was gonna say me and Devin can bet on if you're gonna actually say yes, but nobody's gonna take the yes side, so it's dead money.
Yeah,
taking a no game in theory.
Dibs on no.
Yes is plus 1,500, and no is minus a lot.
Summer, so it's the summer bucket list activities. 80 fun things to do this sunny season. Number 1, this should end the whole thing. Go to an amusement park. That's it. That's fun.
Absolutely not.
That's not fun.
That was a very firm answer.
Yeah. No chance.
They're padding the list a little bit here. Leap off a rope swing?
No.
No. Don't you have? I feel like you'd have one. Don't you? Aren't you on a lake?
That's jump rope once.
Dean, that picture I sent you, that's the Atlantic Ocean, Dean. That's not a lake.
I don't know, man. I see water.
That's the ocean, Dean.
I was supposed to know that's the Atlantic as opposed to the lake.
That would have been a really big lake.
It's not to scale.
Yeah,
it's not the entire Atlantic Ocean in the picture.
Still, Dean. I feel like I don't know.
I think you might be losing your Florida card, Dean.
Yeah.
So
actively.
So leaping off a rope swing, that's a hard no. That's a hard pass.
Hard no.
All right, you ready? And I'm just going in order. I'm going to win you back here. Pick strawberries. That sounds fun, right?
Never done it.
What is this,
I've
a
never
children's
done it.
board game? Like,
They're padding
Yeah.
the win. It's 80. We got to get the 80.
what is next? Like,
So,
time your shoe or something?
Let me just say this. Let me say this. I have been to an amusement park. It was not fun. It was not fun. I have never swung off a rope or picked strawberries. So I don't know if those things aren't fun.
But you can imagine the smart money.
I don't want to do them. I don't want to do them.
Did you go to an amusement park and not have a good time?
I've gone to like some state fairs and stuff that were okay.
That doesn't count.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Turkey leg and fried Oreos.
I went to Disney World and it was awful. I mean, I was like,
that's not an amusement park, though.
Now, I'm getting vibes here, Tim. You're not a people person, like groups of people, right? Like groups of people, like large groups of people.
I generally do not like people. That's a good. Yeah.
I can get behind that. Like large groups of people, I'm just kind of like, that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't have to go into that.
So you're saying I should scratch off attend the parade? I should scratch that one off. That's. Which, by the way, I'm with you. Parades. That's for them. Come on, really? Why? What's the point? What are we doing?
So my daughter's 13, and we used to actually have to like do stuff when she was small, but now it's like, now you don't have to do that stuff anymore. And so now I'm like, this is great. It's awesome just sitting here and playing DFS. Like it's the best thing ever.
So I'm not a parent, but I hear parents like nostalgic for like, oh, wasn't it great when you used to take so and so to the park or take? Then you're looking about it. It was not. There's no fond memories if you go into the parade with your child.
I'll look at some of the pictures. I'll look at some of the pictures from like 10 years ago, and I'm like, man, that was awful. Like.
Everybody else looks fondly on these memories.
Right.
Man, that was a terrible day.
Right. We're going to go back to the list. I don't want to just make this the rest of the show, obviously. But K-Town's Finest, a crazy entry. We're feeling kooky. Hendricks and Wainwright with Rockies Brewers stack. Thoughts?
I think it's a little crazy. I'm not about the Brewers. Maybe if you wanted to do... So he's got Hendricks, Wainwright. So Rockies is okay. I think Wainwright is fine. Let's try it. I don't know. I'm not really about Hendricks or the Brewers.
You wouldn't. Okay, it wasn't specific, but I assume this is for like a larger field. Like you would not sign off this for a single entry like 500. No, because if you hit this, you want to get paid on it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's fine for the lotto. I think they're like, for me, my stance on the lotto is the Giants. We have them ranked 6th in our top stacks tool. I know that's not great. 5% ownership, like that's pretty decent leverage on a pretty like awful slate.
Who's number one
for top?
Oh, we're looking at it. Is it the Mets? I think Devin has it on screen right now.
Well,
you said San Fran's number 6.
This is Slate IQ.
Yeah, we're looking at 2 different things.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. So, the Giants are number 6, and they're gonna come in very, very low owned. So, like, my favorite lotto play would be the Giants. That would be my favorite lotto play.
The kids love the leverage. Like Milwaukee is like, and people overuse that a lot, but certainly Milwaukee is a leverage team.
There is no leverage though. They're 3.5% opto at 3.4% owned. There's no leverage. So there is no leverage on Milwaukee. That is not leverage.
We got the Cardinals, by the way. Arenado is in. Donovan leading off with Goldie, the bar of Newt. Lars Newbar is batting 3rd. Arenado is 4th. Contreras, Walker, Gorman, DeYoung, and Edman. I'm good with that lineup. I think Walker is a really good tournament play. We talked about France being reverse splitsy. Walker has ridiculous power in that ballpark. what is it, mid-90s or something like that? Well, let's check and see where the weather is. It may have changed. Usually I think it's updates like top of the hour, if I'm not mistaken, as far as the weather edge, but let's see what we have. I think there was a fire emoji earlier today. Yes, there's a fire emoji at 94 degrees, kind of a crosswind. The dew point at 68. Now you're a big dew point guy. And crosswind coming left field to right field at 9 miles per hour, about 94. Small sample, 49 games. We've seen a bump in homers at 4.6%. All the lineups are in, which is nice to see. Monty wants me to remind, that we have to make Moxie the word of the day today for Roth and the Crunch Time Crew. It's too bad Dave's not on, but because Dave would have a lot of fun with Moxie. I feel like he's a big fan of working that word in the conversation.
I wonder if Dave's ever had Moxie. It's such a Northeast thing, though.
I feel like if you had asked him that, he would probably have wondered if you were actually talking about like the gumption, like the character quality.
That's true.
I'd like to think I've had Moxie one day in my life.
Right. Yep. That's a good point.
Dave's traveled around a lot. Like he traveled the country, so he's probably been up in your area and probably knows. He's probably dabbled in a little bit of Moxie in his time. Let's see what else is going on as far as questions. Did I miss? Eric's cashing the early 121. Congratulations. I am not. I'm cashing the low ball.
I'm not either.
I'm getting pummeled. What's happening in this slate? The Yankees scored 10 runs. Donaldson, little revenge homer. IKF homered. We got, I think the Angels had a couple homers as well. Ohtani did not homer, but the Moose homered, as did Renfroe, as did Boniak. And we saw Torkelson in a couple homers for Detroit. So there you go. I figured Eric was playing Oakland, and Oakland's not doing anything, but somehow he's finding a way to that's his team. He always asked about the Oakland stack. Other questions here loading up in chat. They're just saying hello to Devin. I'm just catching up on people having a good time with what you may or may not think is fun. Eric wants to know thoughts on Philly. I might go back to them. Eric probably joining us late. We both like Philly, correct?
Yeah. We just had a refresh in ownership, like 15 minutes ago? And
yeah.
They're still not really that high owned, which I absolutely love for tournaments. So they're my number 2 stack today for sure.
Let's see. We have another, if you refresh it, just came in about 2 minutes ago or so. On DK, Scherzer still 56%, Bassett at 29, 30%. Sheehan at 21 is the clear third, which is kind of interesting. I did see a question I was just reading. Eric's asking about thoughts on Walker as a pitcher on DK. Taiwan Walker, he's down to 21% ownership, 8.8K. Strike thrower, not a great strikeout guy, but fine for this slate, 20.7%. We said that Walker's in the pool, right? But I'm not enthused about clicking that button. I guess I would, but if I have that amount of money left and I like my hitters, but that's.
I don't have a lot of great things to say about Walker. I'm very nervous about this great hitting weather at Wrigley. But listen, we don't have a lot of options. So if you're there and you want to take that chance with him, I'm not going to tell you no. He's completely fine.
King of Smack, I don't know if I'll read this entire question, but asking basically why Bryce Harper is not homering. He had Tommy John surgery. Is that, you think that's bothering him?
No, I was looking at his StatCast stuff I don't know, like a week ago, and it was off the charts. So I think he's smashing the ball. I just think he just hasn't gone over the fence. I don't think there's anything wrong with him. I think it's just variance.
Is he not hitting fly balls? Is that what's going on? Yes. Let's see. Hard hit percentage in the season, 53%. That's not spectacular. Barrel percentage, 83%. That's pretty good. The X slug is 85. The X WOBA, 89th percentile. That's all pretty good.
Yeah.
Trying to see how it's differed this year as opposed to last year. The X WOBA this season is 375. Last year it was 380, 430, 454. So it's the lowest it's been since 2017, but it's still pretty good, and it's pretty similar to last season. But it is down a tick. But again, that's by his standards, and his standards are ridiculous. So, yeah. X-Woba also a career low. It's still pretty good. I'm not ready to, alarm any bells. But I think Schwarber's better. Can we say that?
I think
For our
Schwarber
purposes.
is better. I think Schwarber is better. Yes.
Yeah. Like I just feel like there's a better chance of Schwarber hitting a couple homers. I suppose like you can make the argument that Harper can steal a base or two, that kind of thing, or leg out a double or a triple, and maybe it kind of evens out. By the way, I'm just catching up. Kirkwood says rope swings are great, so I guess he finds them to be fun. So there you go. He's a big fan on team rope swings. Izzy said my grandpa rented his 80 acres of to a strawberry farm. I hate strawberries. We would have strawberry wars. Okay, I guess would that be fun? Throwing strawberries at other people?
Yeah, that'd be more fun than picking them, definitely.
Well, how do you think the bucket gets in your hands? You got to pick them so you can throw them, right? I assume that's the rules. I'm not sure. Good to see CJ Crone back. Yeah, Crone is back today. Can we rank our SP2? Don Yeezy probably tuning in a few minutes late. Yeah, people don't stick around with the entire 2 hours. They might have jumped in maybe 15 minutes ago. But let's run it back. We got 15 minutes till crunch time comes in. TJ Zwarych, TJ, and Spidey, and the Spidey bomb. So hit that like button. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe and turn on those notifications so you know when we go live. You also get STL cards. It's TJ's last day before he turns 30, his last day in his 20s. Do you remember how you celebrated your 30th birthday? Probably not, right? Probably uneventful. You didn't have fun. We know that for sure. I'm assuming you're at least 30. That's how rude of me to assume that.
Yeah, no, I'm closer. I'm closer to 40 than 30.
Yeah.
I can't remember, Dean. I'm sure it wasn't that fun.
Your favorite SP2, and I'm using the word favorite loosely.
Yeah, so it's very, very hard. I know Don Yeezy just asked that question in chat. Very, very tough. SP2 is very tough today. My favorite is Keaton Wynn. It's gross. He's 4K. He's probably going to throw up 55 pitches. If you don't want to go that route, could be Adam Wainwright. Chris Bassett, if you want to like play some cheap bats and not get so much exposure to the high-end Philly or Dodger guys. But I'm sticking to my guns and single entry and going Keaton Wynn.
Eric says I took Marsh over Harper. We'll see if I'm stupid later. Well, like no matter how it works out, like again, you shouldn't use like a single result of like if you're stupid or not, right? That's even if Harper hits 3 home runs and Marsh does nothing, it doesn't mean you're stupid. That's just how it goes sometimes. And
you got to take calculated risks in DFS. Like it's really not about being stupid.
Andrew wants to know, would you play JT Realmuto in a Philadelphia stack? Yeah, sure. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, no issues there. Let's see. Thoughts on Houston, please. Thanks. They're popping in my projections. We discussed Houston. They're in the bucket. I have Philly a little bit higher. I think you had Houston either neck and neck with them or just ahead of them.
Originally, I had Houston number 2, and I think that I do prefer Houston kind of in a vacuum over Philly. But it's the ownership. It seems as if Houston's going to be our number 2 highest owned stack. So just through ownership, I prefer Philly. But Houston is an absolutely amazing spot. Dodgers, Houston, Philly, like they're all got great potential to have like just absolutely slate breaking upside.
A deep GPP play. I assume this is a one-off. It's not specifically enough. Doesn't say. Derek's asking Yelich versus Scherzer or Grichuk there in Coors. Who do you prefer a deep tournament? I assume that means large field. Grichuk or Yelich?
I'd still go Grichuk, even in the lotto.
We got your burner account in chat. Tim Pickering is saying, just want to say Tim Buell is the man. His advice and opinions help me a lot. Thanks, Tim. Look at you multitasking, typing over there, giving analysis.
I wish I had a burner. I should do burner accounts.
By the way, the whole fun thing.
Dean, you would be blocking so many people on Twitter if I had burner accounts.
Well, it's not hard. You realize it doesn't cost money to start a new Twitter account, right? You can do it for free.
I know.
You can pay the $8 if you want, but it's not mandatory.
All right.
Yeah. So feel free. So next time somebody comes at me, I assume this account was created yesterday. Hold on a second. I think I know where it's coming from. But people think the whole like no fun thing is a bit. I several times I will slide in your DMs. I'll catch you on a show like you're doing Crunch Time. You're doing the morning grind, and I'm like, hey Tim, do me a favor. I don't know why I'm whispering because I just typed this to you, but like, hey, working like life is like a box of chocolates. like I'm just throwing movie lines for you to throw in there, and you're like, Dean, you're drawing dead. It's not happening.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen, Dean. It really.
And I'm like, this is fun. Let's have a good time. Just between the two of us. Nobody else. They don't know what's going on. It's just a little wink. But you couldn't work that in. SB2, I don't know, man. Life was like a box of chocolates. Maybe today, you don't know what you're going to get with Wainwright. It could be the coconut nonsense thing. Nobody wants that. That's like 7 earned runs in 2 innings and gets his face fully punched in. Maybe you get the caramel. Every once in a while, you get the caramel, and he goes 5 or 6 clean. He gets the W.
I'm not very It's as simple as that. I'm not very smooth behind the mic, Dean. Okay, I'm trying.
You're solid. You got a lot of moxie, though.
Right, I do. I do have a lot of moxie.
All right, let's see. Second at Dean, Tim is the GOAT, always chill and responding to questions. That according to Stan Barisi. They're all coming out. All the Tim fans are hanging out there in chat. Eric's got a DK tournament 2v2. 2v2, we have Diaz and Turner. I assume it's Diaz, the catcher for Houston. Yeah, because we're talking about 2 catchers. Diaz and Turner, that's Trey Turner, versus Tovar and JT Realmuto.
I would go Diaz Turner.
Kirkwood says Tim is such a fun guy. That's a quote from Tim's burner account. Dead giveaway. Yeah, we haven't talked about Polar Bear. I've kind of hinted at the Mets a couple times. Alonso, as a general rule, maybe it's his ballpark. Maybe he's typically a little bit more expensive than you want him to be. He just seems to kind of be more expensive or more I don't know, under-owned as a general thought. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just my sort of take. But why haven't we talked about the Mets the entire show? We've been on for over an hour. We've kind of talked about it indirectly. We mentioned Houston and St. Louis. We focused on those offense. Even Toronto we talked about. Adrian Hauser is not good. He's not good. The ballpark's bad. Paul Bear doesn't care. He hits at any ballpark. And again, it's good for today, for what it's worth. How do you feel about Alonso and just the Mets in general? On FanDuel, we get some really good prices. Starling Marte's 2.9. Nemo's 3.1. Lindor's 3.4. I don't really like to get the McNeil unless I suppose it's in a stack. I like Alvarez and Beatty. I just wish they weren't buried in the lineup, but sure, I guess in a stack. Your general assessment as far as the Mets?
I guess to me, they're kind of like middle of the road. They certainly can be part of like a GPP portfolio. I don't know what I would do in like a 3-max setting. That to me is the more kind of like important question. Tommy Pham all of a sudden is good at baseball again, and he's only 3K. I think maybe he'd be interesting. Pete Alonso, Brandon Nimmo, sure. It's just I don't know. I think they obviously fall below the big 3. That's obvious, but I'm worried that they are going to. I mean. Looking at our top stacks page, they are going to be 10%, which is going to be the 3rd highest owned of all the teams, and they're only going to be optimal 5.6% of the time. So that's negative leverage. Okay, I really stress people to look at this page when they're making multiple teams, because these are simulations that our projection guys make for every single slate, and they really give you the math. Okay, it's a really great tool, and the Mets are going to be overowned relative to their optimal score. So yeah, I get it. Hauser isn't great. They're fine if you're making 150 teams, but they're not going to be just like a forgotten team.
You say big 3, by the way, and again, this is a conversation I made before. I think I think 2 through 5 is very close, and even 2 through 6, if you want to include Colorado. Your big 3 is LA, Philadelphia, Houston. Is that correct?
Yeah. You really think that Colorado is in the same conversation as the Dodgers, Astros, and Phillies? I'm not trying to
No.
give you a hard time.
LA number 1.
Yep.
And then the next tier, I have 4. I have Philly, Mets, Houston, St. Louis, and then Colorado kind of knocking in the door at number 6. But I have 2 through 5, very, very similar, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't say big 3. That language kind of threw me off. But I understand what you're saying.
For me, it's 1, 2, 3. Dodgers, Houston, Philly, and then big drop off. That to me, it's a big separation after those 3.
Somebody was asking, I want to get back to that question, and I missed it. They want to know about cash games, right? Who are you prioritizing? Here it is. Jerry was asking, what other bats do you prioritize with Max and Los Angeles bats for FanDuel Cash? If you're building a cash lineup, you're almost definitely playing 4 Dodgers, right? And you got to figure out which 4 Dodgers are playing. Vargas is really cheap. If you're spending up, is it Freeman or Betts? It's probably Betts before Freeman.
It's 100% Betts. Then it's Vargas. Then there's a question whether or not we should do Hayward or Outman. I think you should do Outman. So Vargas, Outman, Muncy, Betts would be my 4.
And beyond that, you can't roster all Dodgers. Is there another player or two you think is a really, really strong cash game play on FanDuel? I think Marte and Nemo are pretty good. I'll throw a couple out there.
Marte and who?
Brandon Nemo.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
If you can get the Schwarber, I don't know if you can, but if you can get to him, I love him.
What about Tauchman? 2.8K. Betting
what is his
off.
pinch hit risk? Doesn't he typically have a little bit of a risk?
I'm going to look that up.
But he is leading off, and the ballpark's better than it typically is, and we're not necessarily afraid of his opponent in Walker. He is cheap. Trying to think of his any other salary savers that Brandon Donovan's 2.6. If you just need like a punt leading off, that's okay. Trying to think who would kind of fit because you can't just.
Tauchman only has a 3% chance of being pitched for.
Okay, fair enough.
So I think he would be in the cash game conversation for sure.
It's raining here, by the way. Can you tell the chat seems to think they're onto it? It always pours here, unfortunately, but hopefully it's going to chill. Well, actually, we have the Crunch Time crew coming in just a few minutes. Thoughts on allowing just one Dodger in your GPP lineup? I'm okay with that. This isn't like scoreboard pointing. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like we've seen it, the last 2 nights, like a one-off of JD Martinez 2 nights ago, a one-off of Betts last night, right? Like, other than that, the stack has completely failed. I generally don't think that that's a good idea, though. Like, I don't want to be, like, results-oriented. I don't really like the idea of one-offing a chalky guy from a chalky stack. I personally don't think that's a good idea, but hey, it's worked out the last 2 nights, so I'm not going to say you can't do it.
I don't know what's going on in the chat, but they think I farted and I touched my mic, and I don't know if that's what that was, and it's also raining here. Is my mic popping? Are you hearing goofy things?
You sound normal to me. I mean, I can hear the rain, but other than that,
did Devin drop something in the background?
No, it was the expert muting you did when the rain started getting heavier. They probably thought you were discreetly muting yourself.
Oh, okay, that's what's going on. All right, yeah. No, it's just I'm trying to dodge the rain. Yeah. Okay, but like 4 people said it. I'm like, what are they hearing? What's
Yeah, there's a network. As soon as somebody said it, the whole chat lit up with it.
Gotta be more discreet next time. How much would you one stack Toronto versus win? Wait. Okay. Wait, one stack? I'm confused by the question.
How much would one stack?
Oh, reading is hard.
UCF English.
Yeah. I was not an English major. How much would one stack Toronto versus win in DK tournaments? Yeah, if he's going to be popular, he's going to be reasonably popular. 39 lineups. Give me a number. Would you run like 5 Toronto stacks? How many stacks were out there?
You said 39 lineups?
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
No more, no less.
Yeah, that's fine. 5 is okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to answer the question for you. I was just kind of throwing it, but you think 5 is about right? That sounds about right to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's fair.
By the way, more Tim Love in the chat. Tim says, L21 says Tim is the GOAT in hockey. Maybe Tim's saying it too, but allegedly it's L21.
I
I
remember him. Yeah, I can't wait for
always very helpful in Discord. All I know is you would just besmirch my Florida Panthers. You would slide in my DMs and tell me, "Oh, the Panthers stink. They're going to get swept."
They do. I honestly feel sorry for you that they made it that far.
Why do you feel sorry?
Because it gives you hope that they're good, Dean. That's why. Because it gives you.
You feel better as a Bruins fan that you had the greatest regular season of all time and got swept by the worst team ever in the first round.
Listen. I'm still pretty depressed by that. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, you're gonna throw a rock. I'm gonna pick it up. You're gonna throw a strawberry at me.
I was just gonna say, are we throwing strawberries at each other?
I don't know. We may or may not be. I wanted to get one thing that's fun, and I think I got one. I think I got one on the list. You ready for it?
Yeah.
And be honest. Feel free to be honest. You've been honest the whole time. I don't have to say that, but yeah, so far we found nothing that you find fun. But I think I got it.
Okay.
You don't like crowds. I'm gonna whatever. Attend an outdoor concert. Fun or not fun?
I've gone to like festivals before, Dean.
Okay. Did you have fun?
I did have fun.
What? Okay.
We found it. We found it.
Wow.
Kevin Roth, go ahead, Tim.
No, go ahead.
So just to catch you up there, what's up? It's Roth. It's SDL Cards. It's TJ Zwarych. It's the last day of his life in 20s. He'll be 30. He'll be a man tomorrow. That's the 40 line. I don't know. It'll be your 30s. Congratulations. Enjoy it. I found the 80 fun things to do in the summer, Kevin, and I was running them off throughout the show. I wanted to see because Tim, the besmircher, does not like fun. He folds his arms. We found a bunch of things where he did not want to do. We finally may have found one. We barely got through the list, but who doesn't like going to a concert, an outdoor concert? Roth, you'd be on board with that, right?
No, I can't believe that he agreed. That sounds terrible. It's hot.
No.
There's crowds. I can never find a bathroom. Oh, you want a beer? You got to wait like 10 minutes in line. That sounds awful. No. Ugh. No.
Okay, but what if it's like a really cool band that you want to see? Even still?
I mean,
is it better than it's better indoors, you're saying?
I think so. I mean, I live in Houston. Everything's better indoors.
Yeah.
We don't travel outside.
I go to a blues festival every year, but it's outside. It's outside.
Yeah.
And there's like tons of things to do. So
it's shocking that you listen to blues, the most depressing music.
That sounds kind of nice. That sounds kind of nice.
Yeah, I like it as I think it should not be your first thing you like. Maybe it's your third or fourth most popular genre, but the first, nonetheless.
Was picking strawberries there? Izzy says Roth definitely picked strawberries with his familia, and yes, like a month ago, I picked strawberries with my family. So
was it fun?
Oh, it's a blast. Very good time. Yeah.
That was one of the options, and Tim, of course, no chance. He said no to an amusement park, no to a rope swing. That one I can kind of get, I suppose. I could see Roth on the rope swing.
Oh,
Is that something we do?
Yeah, I'm about that life for sure. Yeah.
Now, Kevin,
we'll keep this list for future shows.
Kevin, you said picking strawberries is fun. This is a bit of an interesting take for me. Can you tell me that this is with or without your baby holding a gun to your back that you said strawberry picking is fun?
It's definitely like fun to see it through her eyes. Like without a 2-year-old toddling around. Probably would not have been something I would.
I'll take that answer.
You could just take some strawberries home and then show her the strawberries. Yeah.
Put them in your bush out back.
Slightly less fun. Yeah.
All right, we shall. We'll revisit that list later on in the season, and we're next on a 4-game slate. Did you get your adult beverage, Ralph? Are we celebrating TJ's birthday today? Did you remember or no?
No, we already blew it. We were going to start drinking in the morning show and just be absolutely tanked by this show, but we didn't. So now it's all over.
I forgot for this show too. I don't even have a drink.
I was told we have to bring this, pay it forward as far as this. The word of the day on our show was moxie. Not enough people say moxie these days. Is there a person or somebody you think of when you hear who's got moxie? You kind of know it when you see it. Who's the first thing you think of? Word association. Moxie. This is for the field. Anybody got it?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that the answer is going to be me.
You got moxie? You got moxie thinking it's you.
No, fair enough. There you go. I dumbed my way into it.
That was the moxiest answer you could have given, man.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get out of me sometimes. I just
Box of chocolates.
I worked at a restaurant called Moxie's for 4 years, and you guys are giving me PTSD right now.
No.
Did you not like working at Moxie's?
I think when you spend 4 years at a restaurant, you just can't like it at the end, regardless of where it is.
Fair enough. It is pouring here, so I should probably step aside and make way. You probably are.
Dean, you in Sunrise? Are you in the Sunrise area? Is that where you're at?
Yeah. How did you know that? That's so weird. Are you stalking me?
Well, I just looked at thunderstorms in Florida, and I found the heaviest downpour, and I was like, I bet that's where Dean is right now, just based on what I'm hearing.
Look at you. Yeah. I wasn't
thank
going outside, but I should definitely not go outside, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you know how it goes in Florida. It'll be gone in an hour. You know the drill.
That was pretty impressive. You got anything else, Tim?
Nope. Thanks, Dean.
I love when you thank me. It's the cutest thing. Like, I had nothing to do with you being here. But you're welcome. Thanks for hanging out, Tim. Thanks to the chat. Do hit that like button. Spidey is on layaway. You got TJ, Narrative Street, whatever he says. 29th birthday. He's got to be right. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow's when you tune in. I think he's taking the day off. It's STL Cards. It's Roth. It's TJ. Roth, take it away.
Hey, good stuff as always. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. This is Crunch Time, the show sponsored by Fanduel. It is the moxiest show of all, and it's the show where we bring in two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got one, Mr. STL Cards, Justin Van Zuiden in the house. What's up, Cards?
I got to turn my headphone volume down. It just got a whole lot quieter in the room with Dean's rain out of the picture there. It was like a steady background noise, but
it was kind of nice.
It was. We had some rain go through here this afternoon in Western Illinois, which we have needed. We didn't get a drop of rain here for like 2.5 months. Everything is brown. Of course, we've got a lot of farms in this area, and the farmers, need some rain over the summer. So it was nice to see some rain roll through here today. So I usually like it when it's bright and sunny, but that usually means 100 degrees this time of year too. So a little rain was good to see today. And maybe clear out some of that smoke.
Yes, for those in the middle of the country, there was a big storm system that moved through, already cleared through Chicago, which is noteworthy for the slate. More on that in a bit. But we had some gusty winds, like winds were gusting up over 80 miles per hour for some. We got TJ as well. It is the day before the birthday. The penultimate day? I don't know. It's the day before his birthday. What's up, TJ?
Ready to dive into some baseball once again. It's nice here. It's sunny. It's green. Going golfing tomorrow morning. It may be brown where Cards is, and even though it's raining where Dean is right now, it's still brown where he is after all the toots he had last episode. But still ready to dish out some Spidey bombs. 125 likes. I think we'll give away the first one. And hopefully we can get some homers tonight. Cards, what's my over under tomorrow? 18 holes. You're the golf guy. What am I going to be shooting?
Oh no, I don't know how good you are. I have no idea what your handicap is. Like, are you? You got to give me. You got to give me some idea. Like, how many times have you played this year?
I've played twice this year. I played my very first round of the year, shot an 88. Second round shot, it was a par. Well, I'm having trouble talking today. It was a par 3 course. So like everything's between like 120 and 200 yards. But played my best round ever. Shot 5 over.
But you're playing a regulation course tomorrow, par 70 or something of such.
Yeah. Par 72 tomorrow.
Okay. We'll go 86.
I like it. All
right.
That'll be my
more
goal.
Optimistic. I'm giving you a 92. So we'll see. Maybe you'll fall somewhere in that line. I used to count based on how many balls I would lose. People are like, how'd you shoot? I was like a 7. I only lost 7 balls this time, and that'd be a good day. Guys, we got to dive into the content here. We're walking people through the slate. There are some weather concerns. You've got a low chance of delay in Boston. I wouldn't do anything about it. I don't expect it happens. So play everything in Boston. There's storms in Chicago, or at least there were storms in Chicago. Those are clearing out. I don't expect we see any more until after the game. For what it's worth, winds are blowing out in Wrigley, but it's like 5 miles per hour. So it's not, a super useful windy Wrigley day. And then the game where I do think we're probably going to see some issues is in Colorado, where I think there's a pretty good shot of a delay there, but it's not as if the rain and the storm stick around all night. Colorado has historically been very patient as a team. They know the drill. They know the weather there. Wouldn't be shocked if we get a late start in Colorado, but I do think that game plays fine. So that's the weather. I don't think you do anything about any of it. So I think in general, we look pretty good. Cards, why don't you talk me through kind of the overall setup here for the slate, or just dive right into pitching? We got to talk FanDuel and DK.
Yeah, the slate is not very exciting tonight. That's the overview. So the pitching is lacking, I guess is the word for it. We got 10 teams playing tonight. You've got one pitcher that you feel good about, and even he has had his warts this year. But really, I think tonight is a night that you play the chalk, because you've got the Giants essentially using an opener once again. He might go about 60 pitches. You've got one young pitcher and one veteran has-been in Coors. You've got two fairly low upside guys at Wrigley with favorable hitting weather. You've got Adam Wainwright pitching for the Cardinals, who's basically had the worst ERA in the league, and the fans for the Cardinals have been so mean to him that he deleted his Twitter account over the weekend. It's just, there's no pitching tonight. It's Max Scherzer, and then that's it. And I mean, Scherzer hasn't been himself, but he's still better than everybody else we have on this slate. He's facing a high strikeout team in the Brewers. Bassett is the other guy that's probably going to get some ownership, and I guess I'm okay with him. I'm not enamored with playing him as a relatively chalky option. I think he's fine. But I mean, between the two, I'll just pay the extra $800 on FanDuel and go to Scherzer. On DraftKings, if you can't get Scherzer and Bassett, I suppose you're okay going to, the opener for the Giants, or maybe he gets 3 innings in Wynn, who's like min salary, and you just hope he gets you like 8 points or something like that. But it's just an ugly night for pitching. I mean, on FanDuel, I just lock Scherzer and move on. On DraftKings, I'd lock Scherzer as well, but you got to play a second guy with him. And, whether it's JP France or Bassett or Wynn, like, it's ugly after Scherzer tonight.
I mean, it sounds it. You're literally considering a dude who's just opening and might go 3 innings and might get you 8 points. And you're like,
yeah, I mean, we've got him at 52 pitches, but like the other pitching options are so bad that
they could go negative, and really
they could go negative, or just, if you are spending up for both your pitchers, then you're not getting the bats that you want with all these obviously good spots for offense. So I don't think it's crazy. I'm not saying that you have to do it. I mean, if you want to play Scherzer and Bassett or Scherzer and France, to be a little bit safer, and you feel like you can get the bats you want, that's fine. But I mean, I think Scherzer's the must. You figure out what you want to do with it after that, but nobody's really all that good.
Okay, Cards, let's say on FanDuel you got 20 entries. Are you're literally going Scherzer for all of them, or there's a little room there for somebody else?
I would put him in every lineup on FanDuel.
That's wow. Okay.
If I was doing 150 entries on FanDuel, I would still be doing Scherzer on every single one of them. On DraftKings, to me, it's a bit of a different story because he's priced up at $11K, whereas on FanDuel he's only $9.7. But on DraftKings, he's still the top play. I am interested in doing something a little bit different on DraftKings and maybe just going double cheap here. But over on DK, where Win is 4K, I do think he's like the top play you can play there, because we don't really even know that this is an opening situation. Like, you look at the San Francisco Twitter page and they're saying it's not an opener. It's his first career start. He's stretched out over the weekend to go upwards of a normal workload. They got a fresh bullpen behind him, so he's probably not going to be going 6 innings, but 4 or 5 isn't out of the question. And so at 4K, I do think he is the guy there today. I would probably pair Scherzer with Keaton Wynn if I was doing like a cash game type thing. In tournaments, like I don't have any interest in Anderson and Wainwright and Hauser and Hendricks. I'm a little interested in playing some Emmett Sheehan going up against Colorado, even though it is in Coors. I think if you're playing a lot of lineups, you can take shots on France and Walker, and Bassett, of course, is fine. Although I'm worried about the amount of lefties he might face today going up against San Francisco, even though they got a bunch of them on the IL right now. So he'll probably get a bit stronger of a matchup than he usually does. I don't know why I'm saying this like it's a hypothetical when that's the first game of the night and San Francisco's lineup's already out. But what I meant to say is without Conforto, without Yastrzemski, it's not like it's as strong of a left-handed lineup as usual. So I'm cool with Bassett. I'm cool with France and Walker in tournaments, but my favorites are going to be Scherzer, Wynn, and Sheehan.
Okay, very good. Just saw a random tweet here from who I assume is some sort of reporter in Denver, and it's just hailing. It's hailing at the Rockies game right now, but it's still 2 hours before first pitch, so I don't think hail at the Rockies game now is a big deal. I don't really think it changes anything, but people are tagging me and they're getting scared. I still have the game as yellow. I think maybe you get a late start, but I do think the game plays. Let's talk about some of the stacks and some of the bats, TJ, and you can lead us off in that department. Already, King of Smack already talking about what he wants to do. So what do you want to do?
9 legs away from Spidey Bomb #1. So make sure you keep hitting that like button. We'll get a second one at 150 likes. So keep smacking that like button. The Dodgers are the chalk. The Dodgers are the top play on the slate by a wide margin. The Phillies and Houston both have a total over 5. The Jays and Mets are close. And St. Louis and the Cubs are pretty close too. And actually, basically every team other than Milwaukee and San Francisco are hanging right around a 5 total tonight, except for the Dodgers, who are almost at 7. So the Dodgers are undoubtedly the top team of the night in Coors. They've moderately disappointed the last 2 nights. Some players have gone off, other ones, but like the full stack hasn't really quite been there. But it's also a smaller slate tonight. And so they're my top team on the board, with the Phillies coming in #2. You'd said that the win might not have a super big impact there in Chicago as the game goes on. Like Weather Edge is liking it quite a bit right now, and it's Chicago. 1 gust of up to 10 miles per hour in Wrigley is gonna make a big deal. So I really do like the Phillies today. They're gonna be my #2 stack, and then #3 is probably gonna be Houston. I'm only playing 1 lineup tonight. I'm not doing my typical 150, so I'm not going to be differentiating as much as usual. I got a Dodger stack, and then I have 3 one-offs on that team. And so I would probably rank them the Dodgers 1, Philly 2, Houston 3, and then I think maybe the Cubs 4.
Okay, very good. Cards, I want to get your thoughts here. Where do you stand with some of these stacks?
Yeah, tough to get away from the Dodgers as the #1 team tonight. I won't be as high on Colorado on the other side of that game. I mean, that offense, even in Coors this year, they have not put up numbers like what we are used to seeing from Colorado at home. They're just not a very good team, and they've been horrible away from home. So even in Coors against a rookie, I just can't get super behind the Rockies side of that game tonight. I would probably go Dodgers 1, Houston 2. I mean, Wainwright's just been so bad. And Houston went nuts last night. They've got Altuve back, and they scored 10 last night. So I'd go Dodgers 1, Houston 2, and then probably Philly Cubs 3, 4 after that.
Okay, very good. Guys, let's go position by position. We'll start with a little catcher talk, and Cards, you can lead us off there.
Yeah, so there's going to be lots of options at most of the positions tonight, but catcher is really not one of them where the options are all that great. And I mean, salary becomes a thing as well, because in most lineups you're going to be paying up for Scherzer. Like Real Muto is going to project as the top catcher, but he's 5K on DraftKings. I just think salary becomes a thing tonight. So my top guy would be Diaz for Houston, not Diaz for the Rockies, but Diaz for Houston, who's hitting 5th tonight. He's 2,600 on FanDuel. He's 3,200 on DK. Saves you a little bit of money, which you're going to need at the other positions. Wilson Contreras is okay as well, but has had a tough year. So probably go Diaz then Real Muto. Then Blake Sable has some power too if you want a GPP kind of guy, but that's my catchers tonight.
Okay, TJ, before I get to you, I did get someone ping me in the RG Discord and they said, hey, what happened to the Crunch Time channel? Where am I supposed to ask questions? We have a new spot for that. It is the live stream chat channel. It's like towards the top of the list. So make sure that is where you're hanging out with us if you are one of the folks that is with us on the RG Discord. And if you're not, you should be. You should sign up. We probably have a link somewhere that Devin can rustle up because he's a producer extraordinaire. Anyways, make sure you're hanging out with us in the live stream chat. Also, this show is sponsored by Fanduel. Make sure you sign up for the Fanduel Sportsbook. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets. Terms and conditions apply. TJ, let's get back to some catcher talk.
Let's get to some catcher talk, and let's also get to our very first Spidey Bomb, who is a catcher. My favorite at the position today, it's Yainer Diaz for Houston, going up against Wainwright, batting 5th. Spidey Bomb number 1, you can find him for plus 520 over at FanDuel. 17 more likes for our second Spidey Bomb, and I'll tell you what, I'm gonna give a little deal, a little birthday deal, and we're going 2 Spidey Bombs at 150 likes because they're both at the same team on the same team, and they both have great odds. So make sure you keep hitting that like button because we got a double Spidey Bomb coming at 150 likes. At catcher, like I mentioned, Diaz is going to be my favorite today for his price. I think it's going to be JT or Real Muto. But for his price, it's going to be Yainer Diaz. Austin Barnes, I think, is going to be an interesting low-owned way to get some exposure to Coors. And then Elias Diaz and maybe even a little Francisco Alvarez is all right too.
Okay, very good. Take me to first base, TJ.
Freddie Freeman is the top option here by a fairly wide margin. Paul Goldschmidt, I think, makes for a very strong tournament pivot. It's going to get him at like a third of the ownership probably. And Goldschmidt is in a great spot today. Francis is a reverse splits guy, and Goldschmidt's got a ton of power. So I think he makes for a really strong pivot off of him. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is too cheap. CJ Cron is too cheap. And then Pete Alonso always makes for a great tournament play as well. If you're not playing Scherzer, a $3,500 Rowdy Tellez on DraftKings, I think, is interesting. And then if you got a full-out punt, Bly Madras is getting some ownership, but I think I would rather spend up here at first.
Okay. What say you, Cards, on first base?
Yeah, generally a spin-up position tonight, I think, as well. I agree with Freeman being the top guy and then Goldschmidt kind of being the pivot. Jose Abreu has looked a lot better over the last month. Homered last night and has like 5 homers over the last month after not hitting one for like the first couple months of the year. So I like Abreu as a cheaper play. Lamont Wade, maybe another guy you could consider as well, though the salary has started to creep up a bit. He's $3,200 on FanDuel. Of course, Harper is first base eligible on FanDuel as well, though I would probably play him in the outfield. But otherwise, yeah, Freeman, Goldschmidt, Abreu, my top first base options tonight.
Those are good options. All right, how about second base?
I think you can go either way here, and would be site dependent as well. I mean, Mookie obviously is 3 positions eligible on FanDuel, second, short, and outfield. But I like going maybe a little bit cheaper here. You've got Donovan leading off for the Cardinals, another guy who homered last night. He's 2,600. Altuve homered last night, 3,200 for Houston against Wainwright on the other side of that game. I mean, getting some Houston exposure is totally fine on this slate. And, second base isn't necessarily very deep. If you want a risk-reward home run option, Nolan Gorman is fine. He's been really slumping of late, but certainly has plenty of power, so he would be kind of your GPP only guy. But otherwise, probably Altuve or going cheap with Donovan at second.
Okay, TJ, your thoughts at second?
Yeah, I like the Donovan call. He's been leading off lately, and he's nice and cheap, and so I like getting to a guy at that leadoff spot there. But Mookie Betts, who just got switched over on DraftKings from shortstop eligibility to second base eligibility, I like a lot. He's still got that shortstop and second base over on FanDuel, but over on DK, I'm prioritizing him at second. Jose Altuve and Vargas, both strong plays as well. And then if I'm looking to get a little different today, I like Bryson Stott.
All right, how about third base, TJ?
Third base, Max Muncy is the top play on the board by a fairly large margin. Ryan McMahon, pardon me, is next on the list. I'm playing Sheehan today in my single entry team, but if I weren't, Ryan McMahon would be one of my priorities today. I really like Nolan Arenado going up against France. Great contrarian option, not going to get very highly owned. He got removed from the game last game, so I thought maybe he wasn't going to be in the lineup today. But the fact that he is batting cleanup against a reverse splitsy picture, I like him quite a bit.
Just for the obvious Cardinals insight on that, so they waited to release their lineup until like a half an hour ago to see if Arenado was going to be available. He was removed last night with lower back tightness, and he is DHing today because they're worried about him playing the field. So you can't, it is obviously some risk there. It hasn't affected his swing. He homered last night before they took him out of the game. So sounds like he'll be fine, and he doesn't have to play the field. So you don't have to risk. He doesn't have to risk maybe re-injury playing defense. But anyway, since they waited to release the lineup, and then he is in there and says he's good to go, I would hope that at least as a DH, he can make it through the whole game. So,
gotcha. Okay. How about third base cards for you?
Yeah, and for that reason, I think he's fine as well. If you're not playing Muncy, I prefer Arenado maybe slightly over Bregman. Ownership's going to be about the same there. Matt Chapman in GPPs, I think, is good. This is not a very deep position tonight, so I think you probably keep your pool pretty thin. Like JD Davis is hitting cleanup. I suppose you could consider him, but I'm not really, although I don't love Bassett as a pitching option, I'm not really going to pick on him with a ton of bats either, particularly righties. So, Muncy, Arenado, Josh Harrison, I guess you could punt with on FanDuel at 2K, but it's probably not the best play on this slate.
Gotcha. All right. How about shortstop?
All right. So, again, Mookie on FanDuel, if you're not playing him at second, but you want to play him, you can play him at short. Otherwise, my favorite option from the Mets tonight is probably Lindor. You've got Tovar hitting second for the Rockies. Again, don't love their offense, but he's 2,900 on FanDuel. Has shown a decent bat of late, so he would be a punt, not necessarily punt, but a cheap-ish option in Coors. Dansby Swanson, 3K for the Cubs in Wrigley is fine. I prefer him over Turner for a little bit of savings there. Those would be my favorite shortstops.
All right, TJ, your thoughts at the short position?
So on FanDuel, I feel like this is probably where I would. I mean, it's tough because so on FanDuel, you can play Mookie Betts here at short, but it also feels like a much stronger position on FanDuel than it does on DraftKings. It's not that there's that many different players. It's just that their prices are quite a bit better over on FanDuel. And so, like, my favorite play is probably paying up for Trey Turner, but if you need to save salary, Ezekiel Tovar would probably be the one I'd go with on DK. Francisco Lindor right in the middle of them, like Cards mentioned, I don't mind either. But I think my favorite guy for tournaments, get a little bit different, save some salary, is going to be Paul DeJong, batting eighth, even as a one-off if I'm not stacking Cardinals. We mentioned France is a little bit reverse splitsy, and DeJong's got, a 230 ISO to right-handed pitching this year, so I like him as a one-off.
Okay, that brings us to the outfield. We still have 20 whopping minutes here until lock. So take your time, TJ. Give me some of your favorite plays.
I'm going to run this idea by you. I heard a whole bunch of crazy noise upstairs, and so I thought my wife was home, and I just texted her, and she's not. And so after I give you these outfield plays, since we got a whole lot of time, I'm going to run upstairs, and then I'm going to run back down, make sure everybody's still alive.
Do you want to do that now?
No, I got it. I'll do this outfield first. It was
Might I recommend real quick, like bring a bat or like a hockey stick or whatever you have there in Canada. Bring it when you go upstairs.
Just in case. I got everything I need right now. No, that's not the time for jokes. Mookie Betts, I'd rather play him in an infield than an outfield just because there are so many great outfielders today. Outside of Coors, I think my favorite one, not just I think, by a fairly wide margin, my favorite one is Kyle Schwarber. Let's keep hitting that like button, 8 more, and we got the double Spidey Bum at 150 likes. Kyle Tucker, all good. Some Jock Peterson, Lars Nootbaar, those types of guys are fine. But for me, it's really all about Schwarber and Harper, and then these Coors bats. And on that note of the Coors bats, assuming we're going to have enough people hitting that like button right now, we usually don't go to Coors for Spidey Bombs, but we got Peralta and Hayward both plus 625 and plus 620 odds to hit a home run today in Coors Field. Far too good. Both, you can find both of those on Caesars. Our projection on Scores and Odds have them at like plus 300, and both of them are over plus 600. So super great bets today over at Caesars. Spidey bombs are Yainer Diaz, Jason Hayward, David Peralta. Keep hitting that like button, throwing it to you, Cards. I'm going to go make sure nobody broke in and all my dogs are still alive.
Sounds good. All right. I'm kind of
All right.
like,
Well, I hope he
waiting for
comes
that
back.
report.
It'll be a
Yeah.
concern.
It'd be really terrifying if he never comes back.
Just
Yeah.
waiting for him to come back and wondering
Yeah.
what's going on. Plus, I'm not, if we can hear, I don't know if he muted before he walked. It was so many questions.
Yeah.
So the outfield, he hit most of the good options there. And I think the Dodgers guys and Coors are interesting here because not as chalky as you would expect for Coors outfielders on a 5-game slate, but like Outman has really slumped since his hot start to the year, and he's hitting 8th, but still a guy that can hit it a mile if he gets a hold of one and potentially gets a hold of 2 in Coors. Peralta, I mean, these guys are certainly fine plays at maybe mid-teens ownership tonight. Maybe you get one of the Phillies power guys. I prefer Schwarber to Harper tonight. Harper's just really been struggling, went like 90 some at bats without a homer. So I prefer Schwarber, revenge game against one of his former teams, and a good matchup against Hendricks. He's just a guy that isn't going to strike a lot of hitters out. So Tommy Pham, maybe a more under the radar kind of value guy. Jordan Walker will tie Albert Pujols for the longest hitting streak by a Cardinals rookie if he gets a hit tonight. So kind of rooting for him to do that. Tauchman, they brought up on the last show, leading off for the Cubs, another guy you could consider as a value. I think we've hit on most of the outfield plays here. So TJ has returned, so that's good.
Yeah,
Everybody's back.
Everybody's alive. Everything's good. I got worried because I heard a noise upstairs, and then from outside, 2 of the dogs are out there right now, and one started going crazy like he normally wouldn't unless somebody was there. And so I got worried somebody like went into the backyard and like opened up the gates or something like that. But dogs are laying on the deck in the sun, all is well. Upstairs, the other dog must have just been chasing the cat. We're fine.
All right, that happens. You never know. In Canada, it could be a bear. It could be like a grizzly bear. In Saskatoon, probably
So
not.
like at my old house, I used to live like right by the river.
Mhm.
And there was one morning, I think it was like 6 a.m. I let my dog out. This was like right when we got our first dog, and he was really little. And I just let him into our backyard. And then I was like calling him to come in, and he wasn't. And I like go out there. I think I'm just wearing like my underwear and no shoes, no socks, nothing like that. And it's like 6 a.m, something like that. And I just see my dog is just like staring, eyes are perfectly gazed with a big fox that's in my backyard. And I was just like, oh,
That's not
this
good.
could have gone so terribly. And I just like very slowly scooped him back up and carried him inside. But there have been a few sightings like every now and then of like a bear by the river, a cougar by the river, but it's very seldom. That's usually just things that are up north in the forest.
Yeah, Saskatoon's a legit city. Like, yeah, if you're in it, you're not going to be bears and such. Yes, I researched Saskatoon. All right, we got 15 minutes. We need some home run calls right now, and we need them from STL Cards. Cards, who is your favorite guy to hit a home run? But don't give me someone chalky.
Okay. Anybody from Houston against Wainwright is probably likely. I think Jose Abreu is a great bet. You get him at a little higher odds, and again, he's got 5 home runs in the last like 4 weeks after not hitting any the first couple of months. Hit a moonshot last night. So, Jose Abreu would be my favorite, more off the radar / non-Coors home run pick tonight.
Very good. TJ, your thoughts?
I too like the. Did you guys lose me there? Could you still see me? I accidentally locked my screen. Okay, cool.
No.
I too like the Houston guys a lot. Obviously, with Yainer Diaz being the first Spidey bomb, but their whole lineup is kind of filled with some cheap DFS plays you can go to if you're paying up for Scherzer, and especially if you're double paying up for like Scherzer and Bassett. Abreu, Julks. Even a guy like Chas McCormick, I don't mind. And so I think there's a lot of interesting calls on the Houston side. But in terms of best, the plays that I like the best, I think are the two Spidey bombs from the Dodgers, Peralta and Hayward for odds. And then my favorite person to home run just straight up today is Schwarber.
Okay. Very good. Guys, we still have 13, 14 minutes here for some QQs.
I tell you what, that makes it a good night for a rant.
Oh, go for it. Rant
while
away,
the questions come in, I have been watching the Cardinals for 26 years.
Yeah.
I have never been following a team that has frustrated me to the extent that this year's team has. Like, they've had some bad teams. Like 2007, that was the last year they finished with a losing record, but they won the World Series the year before that. So then you kind of get a pass,
sure,
I guess, for a while. But last night, and I of course went back after the game and looked at this. Last night was the 11th game they have lost this year where they have had a winning percentage probability greater than 92% at some point during the game. They've only played 79 games.
Yes.
They've maybe had a 90% plus winning probability. They've won 33 and they've lost 11 when having a 92% plus win probability. So that's like 25% of the time that they've had 11 out of 44 when they've had a 92% plus win probability that they have lost. It's infuriating to sit there and watch them blow leads every night. I get so mad. And then, they'll reel off 3 or 4 in a row, right? They'll give you just a little bit of hope. And then they'll just come crashing down with this horrifying loss. Like, I can handle it when they just lose like 10-2 and you just shut the TV off in the 4th inning and go about your day. But when they string you along and, lead the whole game, it's happened so often. I've never seen a team. And I know Mets fans are really mad too. Producer Steve and I can commiserate together because the Mets have had a similar fate this year. But my goodness, it's just so frustrating. And now I feel better. So thanks.
I'm glad you vented. Yeah, bad teams are fine to watch. Like, if they're expected to be bad,
yeah, whatever.
Fine. Like, I'll watch the Texans knowing they have no shot and they suck, and it doesn't bother me. Like, but when a team is both like the Mavs, I'm a Mavs fan. Watching them last year sucking and missing the playoffs was brutal because they're not supposed to suck.
And you look at the payroll, like the Mets, right? The Mets payroll is like $320-some million because their owner just went out and bought everybody. And you've got Verlander and you've got Scherzer. The Mets are 36-44. They're 17 games back. The Cardinals are 33-46 with last year's MVP winner and the guy that finished 3rd in MVP. And the Padres, with Tatis, Machado, Soto, and Bogarts at the top of their lineup, are 37-44. I should run a poll. Which team has been the most disappointing among the Mets, the Cardinals, and the Padres? I get the feeling the Mets would win that poll, but all 3 of those teams have just been colossal disappointments.
Yeah, not fun. Dean says Cards was right. STL Cards does have some moxie. You do indeed.
It's coming out tonight. I don't know.
Got some moxie when he goes on those rants. And that was a perfect.
I don't know why Cards being mad makes me giggle as much as it does.
It's okay.
But it's so funny.
He and producer Steve get so mad. Yeah. All right. Well, we've got 10 minutes for some QQs here, so that is good timing. Let's see what we've got. I'm going to start here with J Sam's Fanduel single entry question. Cards, this is for you. When playing Dodgers tonight and building around Mookie, do you think it's okay to not play him with Max, Freeman, and Outman, parentheses, higher owned guys, and instead play him with people like Barnes, Hayward, and Peralta?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's okay. The thing is, you don't want to just play like the 4 highest owned Dodgers. That's twice I've called them Giants. 4 highest owned Dodgers plus Scherzer tonight, and then, the chalkiest values, because that's what everybody's going to be doing. So getting 1 or 2 of the lower owned Dodgers bats at the bottom of the order, I think, is a fine way to do it.
Okay. Jay West says, Card, you should try rooting for the Pirates the last 30 years. Yeah,
I went and watched the Cardinals play the Pirates, and we got swept.
That's true. NBA DFS FanDuel Cash. TJ, I'm coming to you for this one. Vargas Marte or Donovan Hayward?
Donovan Hayward.
I like this question, so I'm going to jump over to the YouTube chat real quick from Milkman. Can we go over DK pitchers again and who you like? Thank you. TJ, I'll let you have this one. We only like Max, and then we have to put in someone else, right?
Yeah, so from a cash perspective, to me, it's Max and either Bassett or all the way down to 4K to win. And then from a tournament perspective, I would throw in Emmett Sheehan. And that's really, really all I like today. Like, maybe I would play some Taijuan Walker if I was playing 150 lineups. But I don't want, maybe same thing with JP France. But other than that, I wouldn't go anywhere.
Okay, great. Jay Sam says, Cards, you're usually pretty spot on about your squad. You know, you watch, you're tuned in. How do you feel about them as a secondary stack paired with Dodgers on FanDuel? And how would you rank them after Goldie and Arenado?
Yeah, I think they're okay. More as a mini stack because their offense tends to be power or bust. So as opposed to rolling 5 or 4 of them, I think maybe a 3-man stack would be the way to go. So I probably Goldie would be first, Arenado would be second, but just based on salary, like Donovan has to be in the mix as a value, and then maybe Walker or Gorman, maybe one of those guys as kind of a lower owned play. So yeah, I think they're fine. Maybe you pick 3 out of that group. Maybe you only play one of Goldie or Arenado because they're expensive, and then you play Donovan, and then you play one of Gorman and Walker. It's probably how I would do it.
Okay. Let's see. Cards, could a mini San Francisco stack be optimal in a DKGPP?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, more things are potentially optimal when you've only got 5 games. I mean, I'm not on them tonight, but that's not to say that they can't, because the one thing about Bassett this year is when he's been bad, he's gotten shelled. I think he's given up like 7, 8, and 9 runs. 3 of his starts have been real bad. He's pretty good otherwise, but when he's bad, he tends to be, really off. So yeah, I'd have to be 30, 40 lineups deep before I got into the Giants tonight on just based on all the offense that we have, but it's not crazy by any means.
Gotcha. All right. FanDuel cash question. TJ, coming to you. Schwarbs v. Harper.
Schwarber.
Thoughts on Nimmo, TJ, in a FanDuel GPP?
Fine. Not somebody I'd go out of my way to target, but if you land on him as a last piece, I think it's okay.
All right. Jumping on back to the YouTube chat. A few people really mad because their team sucks worse than your team. Cards. We got a Tigers fan,
That
Jeff
one's fair.
Hot Hands. Yeah. Jeff Hot Hands says, Cards, would you play Taijuan Walker over Wynn to go with Scherzer for a DK tournament? I've got 1K left to spend. I'm thinking I need to swap out a batter. What are your thoughts?
I mean, Walker is pricier, obviously, so I am not on him
got
tonight.
The money is what I'm.
It's a $4,800.
Yeah, that's why the question kind of threw me off. Like you said, you had 1,000, but if you go to Walker, then you're like,
Spidey bomb from the early slate just hit in the 9th inning. Shohei Ohtani, baby.
Let's go. The big show. The Shogun. The Showman.
I was so rattled, right? Because I got like the RotoGrinders Mlb home runs. They got them on the notifications. Yeah. And I saw it's like 2 outs left in the 9th. 0-2 count for Shohei Ohtani. And it's the bottom of the 9th. So this is the last possible opportunity. And then I get a vibrate on my phone. And it says it was from you talking about the Coors game. And I was like, oh, dang. And then I put my phone down. And then literally right after, home run, Shohei Ohtani. All of my parlays for the evening slate are now still alive.
Giving you a little birthday present right there. Good stuff, Shohei. Okay, so I feel like we have addressed that one. QQ to Cards. Julks or Tauchman, last piece in a 3-man?
I would go with Tauchman.
Okay, very good. Jumping back into the RG Discord. FanDuel cash spend up, TJ. Do we do this Freeman or bets?
Bets.
Okay. FanDuel GPP, TJ Freeman, and it says Altuve, but I believe that's Altuve, or Betts Tucker.
Betts. Freeman, Altuve, Betts Tucker. Betts Tucker.
Okay. Sugar Ray says Cards. DK, Outman, or Newbar?
Without specifying the format, I think Outman is the better tournament play tonight because he's hitting 8th. and he's in Coors, and he's facing a low strikeout pitcher. And if he gets a hold of it, he's got the ceiling. I think Nootbaar is probably safer, especially hitting in the middle of the lineup. But I do like Outman a little more for tournaments.
Okay. Let's see what else we got here. San Francisco 5-stack cards for all the money.
Yeah, TJ gets a notification that on his phone that he gets a home run and stuff and all this exciting things, and I get a little notification on my phone. I look over and it just tells me that my credit card statement is ready.
That's good. Yeah, that's
Good.
The worst notification.
Good to go.
I mean, if it makes you feel better, the notifications I usually get from them is you're approaching your credit limit. So,
San Fran 5-man cards. You okay with it?
Yeah, I'm really not that on board with a full-on giant stack. Again, when Bassett's been bad, he's gotten lit up this year. I don't think they've got the slate winning upside that we need on a slate that's got a lot of bats.
Very nice. Okay. Let's see what else we've got. DK single entry from Jake. He says this appears to be a 2v2. Jose Abreu and TJ, I'm coming to you here. Jose Abreu and Mookie Boots, or Freddie Freeman and Jason Hayward?
Freeman and Hayward.
Very nice. How would you stack on FanDuel, TJ? 4-2, 3-3?
I try and go 4 and something basically always, unless there's something like a 3-3-2 that just looks so perfect. But I'm basically almost always trying to go 4-4, 4-3, or 4-2.
Okay, I got to give a shout out to Bill in the RG Discord, because it is a place for all ages, for all people. Bill says, my granddaughter is older than the birthday boy up there. That's kind of funny. Let's see what else we've got. Beaner says FanDuel GPP. Oh, no, we did that one. We did that one. We got that one. Let's see. Scrolling up just a little bit, guys. FanDuel cash question. We've got about a minute until lock. Abreu or Diaz from Jerry Berg. Cards, I'll give that to you. Abreu or Diaz in cash.
I mean, on FanDuel, where you don't have to play a catcher, I'd go Abreu, but I do like Diaz on DK.
Okay. What are your thoughts on Hendricks on DK cards?
I will pass. No ceiling there. Tough opponent. Not great weather.
Okay. Dan Jan says, TJ, you got any moral mushrooms tonight on DK? Morel?
I do not, but I am always good with some Christopher Morel.
Okay. I thought you were going to say with some mushrooms. I didn't know where that was going to go. I was like, what direction's he going to go? FanDuel single entry TJ card. Oh, never mind. Cards. Although Outman is cheap, he's projected to be the 3rd highest owned outfielder with how bad he is right now. Isn't that a fade? Or probably not, just because Chase is so trash.
Well, it depends on the matchup. See, Outman's a guy that if you get a pitcher that's got swing and miss stuff, he's going to swing and miss. But if he connects, I mean, he's a guy with power upside, and he's facing a pitcher that's generally not going to make you swing and miss. So I think based on the matchup and the price, that's why. And I am on board with him tonight. I just love the spot.
Okay, that was a great answer. TJ, over to you here. Philly mini stack with Rockies. Thoughts and one-offs in a FanDuel GPP. I don't know. Do you like that? Philly's mini stack with Rockies.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Yep, we like it. We like it. We're very, very close. Oh, lock. Actually, we have an extra 2 minutes.
Thanks, Canada. 2 extra minutes.
Yeah. Toronto always starts their games at 7:07. They're like the only or 6:07 or whatever the local time is there. They're the only goofballs with that 7 minutes.
So goofy. Andrew Martinez says Jolks or Tauchman. I feel like we did that one. Did we not do that one?
Yeah,
Tauchman
is I like Tauchman.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got. Cheap catcher in a DK GPP. Cards, who's a cheap DK GPP catcher?
Let me pull. I've been looking at the FanDuel pricing. Diaz is, I believe, 3,200. Again, you got 2 Diazes, so got to be careful. That would be Houston Diaz. Is 3,200, and I mean he grades out as one of the best overall plays. Amaya at 2,200 for the Cubs is fine as a punt if you want to go lower.
Okay. Greg says, hey, sorry I'm late, but did we figure out what Toronto is doing with pitching? Cards? What is Toronto doing with pitching?
They're pitching Bassett. I don't think that's been a surprise unless he means the Giants on the other side of that game in which case Wynn is starting and potentially going 3, 4, 5 innings, depending on what Kapler decides to do because he's crazy. He might pull him in the first inning. He might let him go 5 innings. You just don't know.
Fun. It's good times. We are quickly approaching the lock. I want to make sure everybody hits us with a little thumbs up on your way out. And we'll take this last question from Aside. It is FanDuel Cash. TJ, I'm coming to you. Abreu, Peralta, and JD Martinez, or Freeman, Tovar, and Josh Harrison?
First one.
Okay, very good. With that, we're seconds away from hitting the lock. So we are going to bounce on out of here. For cards, for TJ, for our wonderful production crew, who is always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we do appreciate you. We do love you. I'm stalling to make sure we hit the time limit here. And we will most certainly catch
those
you
2
tomorrow.
extra minutes just really threw you off tonight.
It threw me for a loop here. We got to get to 6:06. There we go. We just hit it. We appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. Happy birthday to my guy, TJ. You have been crushed.